Episode 19, The Watch Before Dawn. The Thornton homestead stood against the darkness like a fortress, lamplight spilling from its windows in defiant gold squares. Sarah stood at the northern window of the main room, watching the prairie stretch away into shadows, her documented pages tucked safely into her apron pocket. Behind her, the combined families moved with quiet purpose. Martha organizing sleeping arrangements, Eleanor settling Thomas on a pallet near the stove, James and Samuel Thornton speaking in low tones by the table. Daniel appeared at her elbow, 2 cups of coffee in his hands. "You should rest." "I can't." Sarah accepted the cup, grateful for its warmth. "Every time I close my eyes, I see those families. The Hendersons, the others Blackburn told us about. 3 families, Daniel, murdered for what they found on their land. We're not them." His voice was firm, certain. "We know what's coming. We're prepared." "Are we?" She turned to face him, searching his face in the lamplight. "The telegraph line is cut. Samuel can't send word to Calgary. We're isolated, exactly as they want us. And somewhere out there, men are watching, waiting for their moment." Daniel set his cup on the windowsill and took her hand. The gesture was simple, natural, but it sent warmth through her that had nothing to do with the coffee. "Then we watch back. We guard each other. And when they come, if they come, they'll find we're not easy prey." Sarah looked down at their joined hands, his calloused fingers wrapped around hers. In the midst of all this fear and uncertainty, Daniel's presence was an anchor. "I keep thinking about what happens after," she said quietly. "If we survive this, if we keep the mine, everything will change. Some things won't." His thumb traced gentle circles on the back of her hand. "Some things are already decided." Before she could respond, James's voice cut through the room. "Daniel, Sarah, we need everyone for this." They turned to find the families gathered around the long table. Samuel Thornton stood at its head, his weathered face grave in the lamplight. Martha sat beside him, her normally cheerful expression replaced by fierce determination. James and Eleanor flanked Thomas, who was fighting sleep despite the late hour. Peter Reed and Johann Schmidt had arrived while Sarah was at the window, both men armed and watchful. "We need to make decisions," Samuel said without preamble. "The telegraph line being cut changes everything. I can't send word to Calgary, and we can't count on outside help arriving in time." "Blackburn is still at our homestead," James added. "He's watching for the Consortium's next move, but he's one man against however many they send." "Then we need to know what we're defending," Peter Reed said. "The mine itself? The claim? Your lives? All of it." Eleanor's voice was steady, but Sarah heard the steel beneath. "They want the mine, and they're willing to kill for it. That means we can't let them take it, and we can't let them take us." "The homestead is vulnerable," Johann Schmidt observed. "Even with Blackburn there, if they come in force." "They won't," James interrupted. "Not yet. Blackburn said they work through intermediaries, through legal challenges. They won't risk an open attack unless they're desperate." "The cut telegraph line says they're getting desperate," Martha countered. "Or preparing the ground," Samuel mused. "Isolating us before they make their legal move. If we can't communicate with Calgary or Fort Walsh, we can't counter their claims in court." "Then we ride to Medicine Hat tomorrow," Daniel said. "Send telegrams from there to every newspaper in the territory. Make this public. The Consortium operates in shadows. Drag them into daylight." Sarah felt a surge of pride at his words, but James was already shaking his head. "Medicine Hat's telegraph might be cut too. And the ride leaves us vulnerable, divided. So we do nothing?" Daniel's frustration was evident. "Just wait here for them to act?" "We prepare," Eleanor said firmly. "We document everything. We make sure that if something happens to us, the evidence survives. Sarah's already started that work." She nodded toward Sarah. "We need more copies, hidden in different places." "I can do that," Sarah said immediately. "Tonight, if needed." "Not tonight." Martha's voice was gentle but firm. "Tonight, you all need rest. Tomorrow, we can make copies, hide evidence, prepare defenses. But tonight, we sleep in shifts, some watching, some resting." "I'll take first watch," Daniel volunteered immediately. "And I'll join you," Sarah added, ignoring Eleanor's concerned look. Samuel nodded slowly. "Peter and Johann, you take second watch. James and I will take third before dawn. Martha, Eleanor, you keep the children safe and rested. If trouble comes, we'll need everyone sharp." The meeting dissolved into quiet preparations. Thomas was carried to a makeshift bed in the back room, already asleep. The other children, Daniel's younger siblings, had been bedded down earlier, their presence a reminder of how many lives hung in the balance. Eleanor kissed Sarah's forehead before retiring, a gesture that felt like both blessing and farewell. Within an hour, the homestead had settled into an uneasy quiet. Lamps were extinguished, except for one in the main room, turned low. Peter and Johann had bedded down near the door, ready to wake at a touch. The others had claimed spaces throughout the house, the Mackenzies occupying the small guest room, while the Thorntons made do with pallets and blankets. Sarah and Daniel stood watch at opposite windows, the silence between them comfortable, despite the tension of their vigil. The prairie stretched away in all directions, silvered by starlight. A half-moon hung low in the east, casting long shadows from the barn and outbuildings. "It's beautiful," Sarah said softly, breaking the silence. "Even now, even with everything that's happening, it's beautiful." Daniel moved to stand beside her at the southern window. "When this is over, I want to show you something. A place about 2 hours' ride from here, where the coulees meet and there's a spring that runs year-round. Cottonwoods grow there. And in spring, the whole valley fills with wildflowers. My mother took me there when I was young, before she died. It's the most peaceful place I know." Sarah turned to look at him, seeing past the watchful tension to the man beneath. "I'd like that." "Sarah." He hesitated, then continued. "I know this isn't the time. I know we're in the middle of something dangerous, and there are 100 reasons to wait. But I need to say this anyway." Her heart quickened. "Say what?" "When I saw you yesterday, documenting everything Blackburn told us, you were terrified. I could see it. But you didn't freeze. You didn't hide. You turned that fear into something useful, something that might save all of us." He took both her hands in his voice low and earnest. "You're the strongest person I know, Sarah Mackenzie. And I—" A sound outside cut him off, the soft nicker of a horse from the barn. They both froze, listening. Daniel's hand moved to the rifle leaning against the wall. Sarah held her breath, straining to hear. The sound came again, followed by the restless stamping of hooves. "Could be nothing," Daniel whispered. "A coyote or someone approaching," Sarah finished. Daniel moved quickly to wake Peter and Johann, his movements silent and efficient. Sarah kept watch at the window, her eyes scanning the darkness for movement. There, a shadow near the barn, darker than the rest. Then another, moving along the fence line. "2 men," she whispered as Daniel returned. "Maybe more." Peter and Johann were awake instantly, rifles in hand. Daniel gestured them to opposite windows, while he returned to Sarah's side. The 4 of them watched in tense silence as the shadows resolved into shapes, 3 men on foot, moving cautiously toward the house. "Should we wake the others?" Sarah whispered. Before Daniel could answer, one of the men called out. "Thornton, we need to talk." Samuel appeared from the back room, fully dressed and armed. He must not have been sleeping. James followed a moment later, Eleanor's face appearing briefly in the doorway before Samuel waved her back. "Who's there?" Samuel called through the closed door. "Name's Carson. We work for the railway survey crew. Our camp is 2 miles south. Saw your lights and wondered if you'd seen our foreman. He went missing this afternoon." Daniel and his father exchanged glances. "Railway survey crew?" Samuel said quietly. "There's no survey work scheduled in this area." "Could be legitimate," James murmured, "or could be the Consortium's men with a story." "Only one way to find out," Peter Reed said, moving toward the door. "Wait." Eleanor's voice was firm as she emerged from the back room, a rifle in her hands. "If they're legitimate, they'll understand caution. If they're not, we need to know who we're dealing with." Samuel nodded and called out again. "Where's your camp, and why are you searching at night?" A pause. Then, "Camp's at the old creek bend where the trail crosses. We're searching at night because our foreman's been gone since noon, and we're worried. Name's Tom Hendricks, tall fellow, red beard, scar on his left hand. You seen him?" Sarah felt Daniel stiffen beside her. "That's a real description," he whispered. "I've seen that man in Medicine Hat. He does work for the railway." "Could still be a trap," James warned. Samuel considered, then made a decision. "You men stay where you are. I'm coming out to talk. But I'm armed, and there are rifles trained on you from the windows. Any sudden moves and you'll regret it. Understood. The voice called back. We just want to find Tom. Samuel moved to the door, James flanking him. Daniel positioned himself at the window with a clear shot, and Sarah found herself holding her breath as the door opened and her allies stepped into the night. The conversation was brief, tense. Sarah couldn't hear all of it, but she watched the body language. The three men keeping their hands visible, Samuel's posture gradually relaxing. After 5 minutes, he called back to the house. They're legitimate. Tom Hendricks was found by Henry Blackburn at our homestead. Apparently, he was checking the property lines and stumbled into something. Blackburn's holding him there until we can sort out who he is. Relief flooded through Sarah, followed immediately by new tension. If Blackburn had detained someone, it meant he'd had reason to be suspicious. And if the railway crew was looking for their foreman, they need to know their man is safe, Samuel continued. I'm going to ride with them to the Mackenzie place to sort this out. James, you're in charge here. I'm going too, Daniel said immediately. No, Samuel's voice was firm. I need you here, protecting the families. This shouldn't take more than 2 hours. I'll be back before dawn. Daniel looked like he wanted to argue, but he nodded. Samuel mounted his horse and rode off with the 3 railway men, their forms quickly swallowed by darkness. The homestead settled back into watchful silence. Peter and Johann returned to their rest, trusting Daniel and Sarah to maintain the watch. James checked the other windows before retiring to get what sleep he could before his watch shift. Sarah and Daniel were alone again at the southern window. Where were we? Daniel said after a long moment, his voice soft. Sarah turned to face him, her heart suddenly pounding. You were telling me I was strong. You are. He set his rifle aside, his full attention on her now. You're strong and brave and clever, and you see the world in ways that make me want to be better. When I'm with you, I feel like I can face anything. Daniel, her voice caught. I love you, Sarah. The words were simple, direct, true. I know it's too soon to say it. I know we're in the middle of danger and uncertainty, but I can't keep pretending I don't feel it. I love you. And when this is over, when we're safe, I want to court you properly. I want to show you that Spring Valley. I want to build a life with you. Tears pricked Sarah's eyes, but they weren't tears of fear or sorrow. They were something else entirely. Hope, joy, the overwhelming rightness of this moment despite everything surrounding it. I love you too, she whispered. I think I have since that first night you rode to help us, when Blackwood's men had us trapped. You've been there for every moment since, every danger, every decision. You make me feel brave enough to face tomorrow. Daniel's hand came up to cup her cheek, his thumb brushing away a tear. Then we'll face it together. He leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. But Sarah didn't want to pull away. She rose on her toes to meet him, and when their lips touched, the whole world seemed to fall away. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, both of them aware of the sleeping families around them and the watch they were supposed to be keeping. But then Daniel's arms came around her, pulling her close, and Sarah's hands found his shoulders, and the kiss deepened into something that spoke of promises and possibilities, and a future they would fight to reach together. When they finally drew apart, both breathless, Sarah rested her forehead against his chest. She could hear his heart racing, matching her own. We should get back to watching, she murmured, not moving. We should, Daniel agreed, not releasing her. They stood like that for a long moment, holding each other in the lamplight, the prairie stretching away beyond the windows. Sarah felt the fear and tension of the past days ease slightly, replaced by something stronger. Not hope exactly, but determination. Finally, reluctantly, they separated and returned to their watch positions. But something had shifted between them, a certainty that hadn't been there before. Sarah found herself smiling despite the danger, despite the unknown threats circling in the darkness. An hour passed in comfortable silence, broken only by soft words exchanged across the room. Sarah's documented pages crinkled in her pocket when she moved, a reminder of the evidence they carried. The Consortium was out there somewhere, planning their next move. The cut telegraph line was proof they were preparing to act. But for now, in this moment, Sarah felt ready. Dawn was still 2 hours away when the sound of hoofbeats announced Samuel's return. Daniel moved to the door, rifle ready, but relaxed when his father's familiar whistle carried across the yard. Samuel entered looking tired but satisfied. Hendricks is legitimate, just a railway man doing his job. Blackburn checked his credentials and story. Let him go back to his crew. But Blackburn also said to tell you something. He looked at James, who had emerged at the sound of arrival. He found fresh tracks around the homestead. At least 6 horses, probably more. They circled the property twice before heading east toward Medicine Hat. Reconnaissance, James said grimly. That's what Blackburn thinks. They're counting numbers, checking defenses, planning their approach. Samuel accepted a cup of coffee from Martha, who had woken at his arrival. He says we should expect them to move within 48 hours. Whatever they're planning, it's coming soon. Sarah felt Daniel's hand find hers in the shadows, his fingers lacing with hers in silent support. 48 hours. 2 days to prepare for whatever the Consortium would throw at them. Then we use the time we have, Eleanor said, appearing with Thomas in her arms. The boy was awake now, sensing the tension. We make copies of everything. We hide evidence where they can't find it. We prepare for the worst and pray for the best. And we stay together, Martha added firmly. That's our strength. We're not isolated homesteaders anymore. We're a community, and communities are harder to destroy than individuals. As the families began to stir, preparing for the day ahead, Sarah squeezed Daniel's hand once before releasing it. They had 2 days. 2 days to prepare, to plan, to strengthen their defenses. 2 days before the Consortium made their move. But they also had something the Consortium didn't, each other. And love, Sarah was discovering, was its own kind of courage. The sun began to lighten the eastern horizon, painting the prairie in shades of gold and amber. Sarah watched it rise, Daniel beside her, their families gathering around them. And that, she thought, would have to be enough.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.